Nearly every major metro in the US now has falling home prices, and Zillow data just confirmed it. But the deeper you go into this data that I just pulled this morning, the more alarming it definitely gets. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the housing nerd. I've got your Monday morning housing market crash update. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm just a realtor and investor, entrepreneur outside of Columbus, Ohio. And I try to bring you the real data in the housing market so you can make a more informed buying and selling decision. Now, how bad are home prices falling, or how far are they falling? Well, according to the latest Zillow data I pulled this morning, home prices fell 0.3% month on month. And you think, well, that's not a lot, right? Is that a lot? Typically, we're flat this time of year. If you look historically through the history of the US housing market going all the way back to the year 2000, and you average all those years out for the month of October, we are typically flat. So to be down 0.3%, that says something. That says something. And I think you need to pay attention to this. Year over year, home prices are basically flat. No growth. I mean, it's small, 0.01%. So virtually no growth in home prices year over year. 618 of the top 900 metros now have falling home prices. The party is clearly over for the run-up of home values. 298, nearly 300 metros of the top 900 metros, which is virtually covers the entire US and almost every micro market too. 300 of the top 900 have falling home prices year over year. And if you look at just the top 50 metros, the biggest housing markets in the US, 43 of the top 50 are falling home prices, have falling home prices. Folks, I watch 900 metros and 3,000 counties to bring you the latest housing market data. I don't watch 85. I watch a lot of housing markets because housing's local, as everybody says. So where are home prices rising the most still? Because there are areas, don't get it twisted, there are areas where home prices are still rising. Let's look at the top metros and the worst ones, because you want to know that, I'm sure. Number one in rising home prices, where are home prices rising the most? Cleveland, Ohio. Nearly 5% year on year home price growth. Hartford, Connecticut. 4% home price growth. Clearly, these areas are skipping the downturn at this point. They continue to go higher for longer. Milwaukee, 4% growth in home prices year on year. Buffalo, New York, 3.7% growth in home prices. Some of these areas are just, they've ignored the inventory growth and they are hurting still for good homes to move into. And that is help driving up these prices. Chicago keeps proving the headlines wrong, up 3%, nearly 4% year on year. Detroit up 3%. They just refuse to slow down. They just refuse to slow down. Some may say they're in denial. Some may say the sellers are delusional. But make no mistake, they are selling homes. When you look at all the data, they're selling homes at a higher price than they did this time last year. Louisville, Kentucky stayed boring. up 3% year on year. And New York up 3% year on year. New York refuses to fall like everybody predicted. Now, where are prices falling the most year on year? No. America's favorite crash city, Austin, Texas. The Austin pandemic hype has fizzled out. They're finally hitting the brakes, down 6% year on year. Folks, they're down nearly 30% since the peak back in 2022. I actually have some friends that I talked to over the weekend. Shout out to Dave and Deb. Happy birthday, Deb, again. They are considering a move, and we talked about Austin briefly, and they confirmed they are finding a lot of new builds in Austin. Inventory matters, folks. Inventory and math matters, and the math will tell you more inventory, lower prices, supply and demand. Tampa, same situation. You've got a lot of new construction, a lot of investors, a lot of Airbnb bros that are going down the tubes. Prices going down the tubes as well, down 6% year on year in Tampa, Florida. Miami's Airbnb sugar high, I guess it's fading, fading fast, down 5% year on year. 5%. Orlando, down 5% year on year. Maybe their short-term rental craze has finally started to crash. Let me know what you think. And then you've got Dallas, Texas. And they've got a lot of new builds. There was a video recently published by Real Estate Mindset, and Travis and Melody went out to Dallas to walk some properties and walk some subdivisions. They do a great job with boots on the ground. And they reported there's a massive amount of new construction in Dallas. Folks, new construction is a great indicator of where home prices are falling. And shout out to Travis at Real Estate Mindset. He called that even before Melody Wright. So it's no doubt that the market has changed, and Dallas now down 4%. So the metros that blasted off the fastest, this is what I'm seeing and what could happen as we move through the end of 2025 into 2026. The markets where you've got a ton of new construction and where prices blasted off the fastest during COVID, you're also seeing those areas fall the fastest. The metros that stayed, I guess, relatively grounded, although if you live really anywhere in the US, you don't think prices are really grounded at all. They're the ones that are still rising. And it really follows inventory trends. Where is the inventory building the fastest? That's where you're going to see the falling home prices the most. And I think this split that we're seeing almost always shows up during a major market shift. So you may be wondering, hey, should I buy a house? Should I invest in real estate in 2025? What's it look like in 2026? My advice is don't try to time the bottom. Did that work for you last time when you timed the bottom? If you're looking for a house now and you missed the last downturn in 2008, as I know many people did miss that downturn, waiting on the bottom may not be the right answer. Now, that doesn't mean you should buy now. Does not mean you should buy now. I'm not a realtor telling you to buy now. That you should marry the house and date the rate, which could be the worst advice you may ever hear from anybody in real estate. That hasn't worked out very well for people right now on rates overall. I mean, what, we're a percent down in mortgage rates. So if you had to marry the house and date the rate, you're not getting much love right now. So I would highly suggest that you analyze your local market, get with a realtor, or pull the data yourself. There are tons of ways to pull the free data and analyze what's happening at your local level. You don't need the MLS, and you don't even need a realtor to do that. But there are opportunities in your backyard today, unless you're in Hartford, Connecticut, right? Or New Jersey, where it's maybe hopeless for decades as far as affordability. There are probably opportunities in your area today. Don't buy into the hype, though. Don't have FOMO, and certainly don't marry the house and date the rate. But if you're patient, you make a lot of offers, and you visit a lot of properties, you can find a deal today. You definitely can. So overall, I would say as we move into 2026, you're going to see seller leverage continue to fade. You're probably going to see a national price decline. Now, Redfin has us up nearly 2%. Zillow's saying we're about flat. A lot of people don't like Zillow data. Let me know if you do. You probably don't. But if you're hoping for a housing market crash, isn't it interesting that Zillow data is more bearish than Redfin? So prices may realistically fall year over year in your metro over the next 12 months. We could go sideways like this, little down, little up over the next couple years. Heck, it may take 5 years to restore affordability to the housing market. And so the more of the story is the gap between the weak markets and the strong markets, I think that's just going to continue to widen. I think you're going to see more and more bifurcation in the housing market. I can clearly tell you here in Ohio, while there are zip codes that are falling with home prices, the homes that are for sale right now that are in good areas, that are priced correctly, and are in decent shape whatsoever are still going fast. However, most sellers right now, or many sellers, have overpriced their house and are delusional on their pricing, wish pricing, whatever you want to call it. They wish, want, and hope for a price they can get for their house. And it's not working out. They're having to cut the prices. So there's no doubt that people have overpriced their homes in the US for the most part. And sellers are starting to finally realize that. And some of them are going to sell for a loss. And we will see foreclosures ramp up as we move through the next 12 to 24 months. Will it be a foreclosure wave of like millions and millions of foreclosures? No, I don't think so. But we will probably see a lot of foreclosures comparatively to what we've seen so far. So you've got foreclosures. I think you'll definitely have more defaults in mortgages, obviously leading to foreclosures. You're going to have some short sales in there. So if you're in the industry, you should understand how to work with a short sale. If you're a buyer, you should really think about looking at short sales. Basically, when a seller can't sell their home for what they owe and they got to sell it short, and the bank or the lender or the government in this case basically takes the loss. And then the seller gets hit with a tax, usually a tax bill, typically. Your next move probably isn't that obvious, but the warning, the alarm bells, the signals of change, folks, they are there in the market. And so act accordingly. Sellers have had leverage for years now, right? How long have you seen headlines where prices continue to go up? You've seen them from me. And you've seen how buyers have no leverage. Well, guess what? Now buyers are gaining leverage. And if you were hoping, wishing, and wanting for a housing market crash, well, or on the sidelines, waiting for prices to fall, as long as you're realistic about it, for goodness sakes, right? You get people saying, I'm waiting for prices to fall 100%. Okay, like that's not, we're playing in reality. If you want to really buy real estate and make money, if you want to buy your first house, you got to think in reality, not unicorns and rainbows. So at some point, those prices are going to fall enough for people to buy the houses. That's what we're seeing. I'm seeing it all over the place. Eventually, that price gets low enough, people buy. So make no mistake, the market's changing. And it's time for you to go out and look for something. You don't have to buy anything today. You don't have to make an offer that's like, doesn't make sense for you. Make an offer that makes sense for your budget. Don't worry what the actual price is. That's not really important, to be honest with you. It's what you can buy. Make an offer. There's no law against making a disrespectful offer. Find a realtor that is open to working with you, making disrespectful offers. I know somebody who made 80 offers on a primary home, on an owner-occupant home, not an investor. 80 offers, 80, not 80 offers before they got a deal. And guess what? They got a deal that you would only dream of because they were willing to make 80 offers. It's there, folks. It's there. You want to find a deal? Go find one. You don't do the work? I got no sympathy for you. Take some comments. Winter slump, John Doe. How you doing? Are you the same John Doe that always chimes in? It could be a different John Doe. I'm just kidding. Winter slump. Yeah. Right. Could be. I mean, the housing market refuses to pick up. There ain't no demand. James, how you doing, man? Oh, I like your little squirrel. You can't get homeowners insurance in Florida. No wonder. No, right? You can't. At some point, they'll have to figure that out. But you could also wait for them to remove property taxes. I mean, there are people that actually think they've already removed them. But I don't live in Florida, so I wouldn't know if you have to pay property taxes still, but I think you do. I think the taxes and insurance are crushing people. Crushing people. Rich and poor. What's up, Jason? Good to see you, brother. People sleep on Northeast Ohio. I went up here kicking and screaming, but found it is a really hidden gem. In 7 years, our home value comparables in the neighborhood and realtor evaluation is nearly double compared to what we paid. Yeah, look, the only downside to Ohio, to me, are the property taxes, Jason. But like, I completely agree with you. I think it is a hidden gem. Ohio is a hidden gem. It is. Now, a lot of people complain, about taxes or this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, we have a great way of life here, and I like Northeast Ohio. So good for you. I'm glad you like it up there. Southwest Florida real estate market is a 100% different situation to our crazy Somerset, Hunterdon, Morris counties, New Jersey country homes. It's completely different. It's not just a little different or 100% different. It's 1,000% different. I looked 2 weeks ago, and out of 750, I think it was 15 or 50 zip codes in New Jersey, just 15 had more inventory than 2019. You have no inventory. And it doesn't look like it's getting much better because where are they going to build? Now, I've heard people say that demographics will change that, and all of a sudden people are going to move out of New Jersey in mass exodus, and you'll be able to just buy houses for pennies on the dollar, supposedly, in the next few years. You tell me if you're seeing that. I don't live in New Jersey, but I'm suspecting that's not the case. So you are, you're hurting there, no doubt. Nice cold morning in Ohio. Good morning. Good morning to you. It's not horrible today, but it's a little nippy. It's a little nippy. Sunny though, so that's nice. Waiting on square foot to get back to around 135 to 155. That's about a 20% drop where I'm at. Yeah, you're in California too. No, you're not in California. I can't remember where you are off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, how I would look at it, I mean, if you've got a target there of 135 to 155 a square foot, and that's your like target, right? Then you've got a goal. That's great. Now you got to do is track the market every day or every week or every month, depending on your time horizon. I mean, you can literally do it on a scratch piece of paper. You just go into Zillow, look at how many homes are for sale, right? Then look at the homes that are selling and what they're selling per square feet. Write it down. Go in the next week, write it down. Go in the next week, write it down. Go in the next week, write it down. And eventually you'll see a trend and you'll go, aha, aha. 80 offers doing something wrong. I don't know. They made 80 offers because they had a price like Stuntfish does of a target. They're like, I'm only gonna do a great deal. I'm not gonna do a good deal. I'm gonna wait for a great deal. And they were patient. And they wrote 80 offers. Well, the agent wrote 80 offers. They didn't write 80 offers. They had to sign 80 offers. And then eventually they found a deal that would make people their head spin. They're like, huh? Where'd you find that? How'd you get that? In a way, they created their own housing market crash just by doing the work. Michael, how are you? It's probably the camera angle, but your fire looks dangerous this morning. Yeah. It's not that close to me. It's not. I had to kind of get it in there, get it in the shot, you know, to make it look fun. Not motivated, wasting time. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Waiting for midsummer 2026 to see where overpriced Southwest Florida waterfront sailboat access homes have dropped 25%. If not, this non-smoker, no pets, handy tradesman will just rent again in 26, 27. I don't have any, I have nothing disparaging to say about renting. I think people that shame renters are fools. Like, I don't know your situation. So to say that you should buy or you shouldn't buy or you should rent or you shouldn't rent is nuts. So I'm not going to tell you that. But it's cool that you're patient. It's really cool that you are. I do know some people in Florida selling property or thinking about doing it, and it's not favorable. It's not favorable right now. It's definitely they're hurting. They're hurting. Oh, the agent worked for peanuts. Yeah, maybe he did. Depends on how he was paid. I don't know how he was paid, or she. Like, he could have been paid a flat fee regardless. Like, if somebody wanted me to write 80 offers, I probably wouldn't work on commission. I'd probably say, well, I'm going to charge you hourly, or I'm going to charge you per offer, or I'm going to charge you a flat fee, right? Like, if I don't close anything and we don't, doesn't matter. You still owe me some money. I don't know. I'd get creative with it, but I certainly wouldn't write 80 offers for a few percentage points. Bentonville. Well, Rogers AR. I don't know what that means. I know where Bentonville is. That's where Walmart is, right? What's up, David? How are you? What do you think is realistic idea of price declines in a market like the outskirts of Austin, not in a rush, willing to make lots of offers, 15 to 20% off would be a primary home? I think it depends on what the inventory looks like in that immediate area. For instance, I've got to assume, this is an assumption, that there are older parts of Austin where prices are still strong. In fact, David, what I'll do is I'm going to make a note of this, and then on my live, it'll be, today's Monday, so it'll be Friday. On my live on Friday for the housing market, I will do Austin, and I'll look at zip code level info north of Austin to kind of see what's going on there. Just make a note, because I'm guessing the older parts of Austin that have like maybe tighter with inventory, those probably aren't falling as fast as some of the new construction. The report I got back from my friends on Austin was that there were tons of, like, there were a lot of homes like $300,000 to $400,000 out there. I mean, they're outside, the city, obviously, and they were like, they described them, this is how they described them, as they were like crammed together. No yards, all new construction, right? Kind of thrown up fast is what they alluded to. But I think you really have to understand where you want to go, like the specific area, and look at that inventory trend. How many homes have been sold there, and what's the inventory like? And the thing you'll have to do with new construction, unfortunately, or fortunately, is you need to go to that area and actually drive around and look at all the new construction, because new construction, there's no rule that they have to put it on the MLS. So they could put one, like what they do here in Ohio, which is classic, like, monkey business, is they'll put one home on the market or two homes, but there's really 20 in new construction. And that's the way they've always done it. That's just how new builders do it, because they're like, we don't have to put all these on here. That would be crazy to have to do that and manage that. Have to manage all these listings. It wouldn't make any sense. So you really need to understand that exact market and inventory, and that'll tell you where to offer your prices. Like if there's no inventory hardly, and homes are turning over. I mean, when they go on the market, they're selling quick. People aren't listing a lot of homes on the market there in Austin, then, or in the area of Austin you want to buy. Then it's like, well, I may not be able to get a massive discount. However, if you're seeing a lot of inventory, then you could probably go for the throat. But a 15-20% discount, I mean, sure. I mean, why not? Go for broke. Offer less if you want to. If you're not in a hurry. Doesn't sound like you are. No rush. So that's good. The worst thing you can do in real estate is not have patience. Trust me, I've made many mistakes that way. Nikki B, how are you? How painful is it to purchase a short sale? It's not very painful. It's not very painful at all. It's normally they advertise them online as a short sale. Like, in other words, like on the MLS or on Zillow, whatever, it'll say like short sale or bank owned or something like that. Not bank owned, sorry. It'll say short sale. And the caveat there is the seller's really not making the decision if they're going to accept the offer. The lender is, because the lender has approved the seller to actually sell the property at under what they owe, less than what they owe. So the bank is really, and the lender, it's not really a bank, it's a lender, is in charge of that, going, hey, we'll get your offers, you send them to us, like the agent, the realtor will send the offers to the lender, and then the lender has to approve whatever offer the seller wants to take. I mean, the seller can, I don't even know technically if the seller can even deny it. If the seller gets a good offer, I think the bank may, or the lender may force them to take it. So there's really not a huge difference between making an offer on a non-short sale versus a short sale. The short sale, you just got to have the bank approve it. That has the note and the mortgage. It can take a little longer, right, to close. It can take longer because you got to go through the red tape and everything. But I've helped people buy short sales before, and it's not that big of a deal. But I suspect you will start seeing more short sales. Yeah, I think you will. In fact, I just saw a YouTube, Nikki, this is just what you're saying. I just saw a Yahoo article last night. And I was commenting to my wife about it. And it said, what do you do if you need to sell your home at a loss? That was the title of it, something to that effect on Yahoo Finance. Basically alluding to the fact that there's a lot of people out there that are going to have to sell their home at a loss. And if it's less than they owe, it's going to be a short sale. I haven't seen the headline like that forever. I was like, is that from 2006 or is that from 2025? But don't be scared by short sales, Nikki. Do some research, go online. I mean, if you just go into YouTube and type in short sale, how to buy or whatever, I'm sure you're going to get tons of videos. And I would do a bunch of research. And then if you're going to talk to a realtor about it, make sure that they understand how to work with short sales. That's all. What's up, Ma Deuce? How you doing up there up north in Ohio? If you need a 50-year mortgage, you shouldn't be buying. You should be saving until you can afford to buy. I mean, yeah, that 50-year mortgage thing. There are times when 50-year mortgages could make sense for somebody, but not the average person, I don't think. Not the average home buyer. As an investor, would I take a 50-year mortgage? Depends on the deal, but I may. Depends on the cash flow and what the overall terms are. But if as an investor, yeah, I mean, I could see myself taking a 50-year mortgage. I could even see myself taking a 100-year mortgage if they would let me. Although the amortization schedule, I can never say that word, that doesn't look that favorable as you extend it out to 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. If you play with the numbers, it doesn't look as favorable as you would think. But you're right, Mod Deuce. Like, don't get a 50-year mortgage if you're I mean, not that you can right now, but if they did approve that, I do think a lot of people would take advantage of it. Um, but they would be trapped effectively because those folks are probably going to put 3.5% down. I do like the portable mortgage. That was a good idea, I thought, in theory. I was like, yeah, I can see how that could help being able to transfer your mortgage to the next property or rate, unless they're only allowing you to transfer as much as you owe on your house currently. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they'll do that or how it would work, but that was creative, somewhat creative. I was like, okay, now somebody's thinking instead of not thinking. Like, it's almost like, I mean, even Chat GPT tells you that it's a horrible idea to do a 50-year mortgage. So they didn't use AI. If they did, they ought to throw that engine away. But yeah, 50-year mortgage, man. That's just, for the average person, I don't know that it's a great idea. Oh, Sheriff on YouTube, what's up? Thanks for protecting our people. 50-year mortgages are no different than 25-year mortgage. Who flips to sell inside of 7 years on average? No different than a 25-year mortgage. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you saying that you have to stay for 14 years? But now homes aren't selling in 7 years, I don't think, anymore. I think most people are staying in their homes longer now because it's so slow, right? Nobody wants to move up into that interest rate, the higher interest rate. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, but I'm curious. I'm curious to understand it. I can't wait to pay $100 a month instead of $1,000. They pay the penalty when they sell early. I can't wait till I can pay $100 a month instead of $1,000. They pay the penalty when they sell early. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what you're onto there. Oh, Nikki, you're really average is 12 years now? I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, it's definitely longer than 7 years. I'm curious what Sheriff was meaning with his 25 versus 50-year mortgages. I don't really understand that. Oh, you're going to tell me now. I'm saying the average home resells instead of 7 years on a 25-year mortgage. Average home resells instead of 7 years on a 25-year mortgage. I still not following you, man. Oops. 15-year, 20-year at the most. When I was young and dumb in the 80s, I had a 30-year, but learned from elders to pay extra principal to reduce interest. You know what? I had somebody make a comment on my channel and I'm not a mortgage expert. I'm not a mortgage professional. I'm just a dumb realtor. So, I had somebody come on or somebody comment on my channel. It sounded like they were in the mortgage business, and they basically said that there'll be a term premium, which I never thought about, and I don't hear anybody mention that. In other words, there's going to be an interest rate uh, increase. It'll be an increased interest rate if you want to extend out to 50 years, which would seem and it makes sense because lenders don't want a loan on a 50-year loan, maybe, although it makes them more money, but it's probably riskier, right? So they're like, well, you're going to pay more in interest if you do that, which would maybe negate the opportunity of the savings every month. So I don't know that they'll do that. I have to think if the administration says and the government goes, you know what, we're going to do 50-year mortgages, they're going to cajole, they're going to interfere. Well, they already interfere, but they're going to massage that rule so that the interest rate stays the same and they'll just backfill the lenders on the backside. Excuse me. So I think that's what they're going to do. I think they'll keep the interest rate the same. They could even lower it. I could see them lowering it, like artificially buying down the rate, so that so that people will go into the 50-year mortgage and make homes more affordable. But it's interesting to really kind of sit and ponder, like what Alex is saying, 15 or 20 year at the most. You can turn your 30-year mortgage into a 15-year mortgage or a 20-year mortgage, but if you get charged a higher interest rate on the 30-year versus the 20 or 15-year, or the 50-year versus a 30, a 20, and a 15, then it's like, what's the point? What's the difference, right? So as long as your interest rate's the same, no matter what term you're getting, then it would seem to me that, yeah, you could get a 50-year loan or a 30-year loan, just make extra payments. And if you got into trouble with your job, or you got into financial bind, you could pay like a minimum payment, like the 50-year payment. But on most months, you're paying the 15-year payment, and you're paying that thing down quicker. But the interest rate should probably need to be nearly the same. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what somebody told me. I was like, that makes sense. You'll pay way more interest on a 50 versus 25. You would, unless you pay it quicker, right? You make more larger payments. So if you could afford, let's say, $3,000 a month, and your 50-year mortgage is $2,500 a month. I'm just making that number up, but $2,500 a month, but you can afford $3,000 a month, and you pay $3,000 every month. But then a couple months, you're like, oh, I'm short this month, I'm going to make the $2,500 payment. Not the best scenario, but it gives you some flexibility. And as an investor, I may like the 50-year, not all the time, but sometimes. I've been out of real estate brokering since 2016. Oh, well, you missed the big party, right? The COVID party, where all the realtors were driving like, well, not me, not me, but a lot of realtors had like glass offices and Maseratis and $100,000 cars, pulling up to somebody's house, selling a $500,000 house. How cheesy is that, right? But a lot of those people were like, that was a dumb idea, and now they're hurting for certain in the business. Bobby D, if you think about it now, we already have it. You get a mortgage, then years later, you get a home equity line or refinance. Great point. I like that. Yep. It's all, none of it really almost has to do with like the product you get. I mean, some of it does, but a lot of it has to do with, I think, Bobby's point, how you act, what you do. If you're acting with fiscal responsibility. It would be the same insanity that if you didn't have any money and loaned yourself money thinking that it was a benefit. Like, I don't know, like running like a massive trillions and trillions of dollar deficit out there, and then printing more money to give people money from money we don't have. It's just how you handle fiscal responsibility, right? Everybody makes those decisions. So you're right. You could definitely have that problem. What's up, Sheriff? I'm in Canada. Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me that. I was like, whoa, what in the world? In Canada, the average resale happens within 7 years. I'm in Canada. We have a 2 to 5 year terms. Yeah, and then you like adjust, right? You have like adjustable rate mortgages, right? Like that. I'm pretty sure you do. Like they're common. The 30-year mortgage, folks, is like an anomaly. I don't know that there's any other country that has it like us. There probably are, but the 30-year mortgage is kind of an anomaly out there. And so I think that's one of the reasons why the housing market is what it is right now, because you can extend out payments for 30 years. But in Canada, what Sheriff is saying, they have 2 to 5 year terms. So the 7-year rule makes sense. But in the US, it's 12 years, according to Nikki B. Only buy duplex. That's my advice. All those agents are broke. Man, I'll tell you what. Buying a duplex and house hacking it, I assume this is what you're talking about. Living in one side, renting out the other, forget about it. That's like the cheat code to real estate wealth. Not many people are willing to do it, but depends on how bad you want it. If I was single right now, all of a sudden tomorrow I was single and could move anywhere, I would probably buy a duplex, fix up one side, rent out the other, or I would buy a 4-unit. I'd probably target a 4-unit. Rent out 3 units, live in one, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. That's an amazing way to get into real estate. And as a first-time home buyer, you can take advantage of um, FHA lending rules that investors can't touch. So it's like investing and buying your primary house at the same time, and all your tenants pay your mortgage. So it's a great way to get in. The banks own you. Not if you don't let them. But a lot of, I mean, most real estate billionaires and millionaires have tons of debt. I mean, when I look at my debt payments every month on my rental properties, I'm like, like that's insanity. Kind of makes you pause for a second, like, sheesh. But that's the power of leverage, right? If it's done right. What's up, Jason? What we see locally in Northeast Ohio is people who bought in the 70s and 80s are now retiring. Yep. They are selling the house as is without any updates and still getting top line price. Buyers are doing the total rehabs when they take possession. Are there now trends where buyers are willing to buy non-updated properties like this? Typically, listing I'm referring to is 350 to 450 listings. Are there now trends where buyers are willing to buy non-updated properties like this? So one of the challenges, Jason, I have with the data, unless I'm looking specifically in Columbus and Central Ohio, is that I don't have they don't have data on like price points. In other words, like, hey, these are how many homes are selling between 350,000 and here are the condition. I could do that inside of the local data, but yeah, your trend, what you're seeing is exactly right. There's a growing narrative out there that there's a silver tsunami coming, like you're referring to, I think, and you don't have to worry about inventory because when all that tsunami hits, real estate nirvana is going to rain down upon us with like houses for everybody. But what you're referring to, I think, is what nobody wants to talk about. And that is that these houses are old and they need everything or nearly everything, right? They certainly need updated. I mean, you don't have to update them. You don't have to have a new kitchen, but a lot of people want that. So they'll buy them. And like you said, put 150, 200 grand into the home. But my point is that you're seeing that play out firsthand. And I see it all the time here. They're getting top dollar for the houses that need a lot of work. Why? Because the only other solution then is to buy a new build. Well, a lot of people don't want to live in a new build community. And there's not a lot of new construction in Ohio, for instance, or in the Rust Belt in the Midwest. Not at all. Not a lot. And so you're seeing people buy older homes and fix them up, and that's what's available. So there's just not a lot of new homes. I mean, Ohio only has like, I think the stats under 2% of all the houses in Ohio were built after 2020. 2%. Virtually no new construction. And so when people say silver tsunami coming, we don't need to build any more homes, I'm like, hey, I think I'll be good. I wonder how that's going to work out for you when you have no homes built. The challenge is the new homes are not in the neighborhoods they want to live. I think that's what people are running into. So they're forced to buy older homes and renovate them. At least that's what I'm seeing. But that's awesome. Great boots on the ground, real life data, Jason. I like it. Thank you. Japan has a 100-year mortgage. Wow, I did not know that. Goodness gracious. 100 years. So it's like a generational thing, right? They do live a long time in Japan, though. Late 70s and early 80s, we had an 18% mortgage rate. Went from 25 years to 30 years because of affordability. Yeah, good call, Alex. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Do you see any scenario, Alex, where where anybody in charge, it's a loose term, but in charge, are looking to reduce prices on homes and make them actually more affordable? Like everybody wants lower home prices instead of lower rates. But do you see that actually playing out anywhere? I mean, they may come down naturally, but nobody's trying to come up with more affordable solutions of the actual home. So affordability is a weird term, right? And extending out the term, it's the only trick they may have. Portable mortgages, it's a neat solution. It's a creative idea, not probably everything they want. Or not, it's not the, it's not the silver bullet, obviously. We need more supply. We need more supply of homes that people can actually move into and not have knob and tube wiring, right? Or slate roofs. And slate roofs are actually pretty good. Expensive to fix and replace, but last for a long time. But old windows, right? Single pane windows where you're freezing in the winter and hot in the summer. They want affordable homes. You got to build affordable homes. How can you do that? Well, you need cities to be okay with allowing smaller homes to be built. Like like you referred to, well, the 70s, 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, we built tons of homes in the US. A lot of them were 1,000 square foot, 3-bed, 1-bath, matchbox homes, right? Just a square. 1 bathroom, not 2, not 2.5, not 4 baths. But as the uneducated economist says, our luxurious lifestyle changed that. And we demanded larger homes. And builders aren't willing to build a smaller home because there's no money in it for them. Because the regulations, the permitting, everything involved, the utilities, to get everything set up isn't worth it. And so they don't build smaller homes, unfortunately. But those little 1950 homes, to me, that's where it's at. Just got to have more supply. $1984 went to 18%. Yeah. More interest rates were crazy. Tip of the day. Let's hear what your tip is. If a homeowner is deported from the U.S., they still own that home. So it wouldn't be available to buy until it's foreclosed. That can take a few years. I didn't know that. I mean, yeah, you just can't run over and take somebody's house. That's the thing about vacant homes, Madus, and thanks for your comment. But I think a lot of people have this idea that there's these 15 million vacant homes out there. And when they mention that stat, my question is, so what? What does that matter to anybody? Like if you're looking for a home today where you're sitting watching this, there's 47 of you. By the way, hit the like button. Don't be a freeloader. If you're watching this right now and you can't afford a home, how does the 15 million vacant home narrative help you? You may hear that out there. There's 15 million vacant homes. We don't need any more homes. Okay? But I can't find one that's affordable. So how does that help me? They're all owned by somebody. Somebody owns all those 15 million vacant homes. And like Madhu says, it could be somebody who doesn't even live in the country anymore, who's not welcome back. They still own the home. It has to go through the process. Vacant does not mean affordable. I'm sorry. Vacant does not mean available. It also doesn't mean affordable, but it doesn't mean it's available. So I think it's an unfortunate narrative that people say that has no effect at all on affordability, and it doesn't help anybody. If you can't afford a home right now, and I tell you there's 15 million vacant homes, people are hoarding homes. You're like, so what? I can't get one tomorrow. What does it matter? You need more. You just need more. There's got to be a way to make 50-year actually make sense. I mean, there could be. I think there is, if you're somebody who gets the 50-year loan for the right reason. But if you get it just to bring your payment down so you can afford the house, that's the wrong reason. I think it's all the intent and how you do it and the terms you get. I'm sure there's a way to do it. Duplexes are going for 750 to 900 grand in northern New Jersey. You may find a duplex for 600, but it'll be 100 years old. Yeah. Well, that's okay. It requires a lot of work, right? There's not one rental property I own that it was built after 1940. 1940 is my newest property. Nearly 100 years old. Most of them are 1910. One's 1890. It is what it is. You talk to the people that say we're oversupplied. I want to talk to those people. I want to have them on my channel. Invite them on. I've tried. They don't want to come on. Like, invite them on. Hey, let's talk about availability, oversupply. Talk to JR. Hey, JR, you've got a lot of supply. I don't know why you're complaining. Wrong. You don't have any supply. You got to buy a 100-year-old duplex. But those can be awesome properties. If you buy it at the right price, obviously, you got to do all that right. Know what you're doing on the rehab. But that's insane though. 950 to 9 or 750 to 900. Duplexes here for a 100-year-old duplex that needs fixed up. Like you can score them in like I was looking at one last week, made some offers like 130, 140, 150. It'll rent for like market rent on that is depends on how nice it is on the inside or what you do to it, but it could be anywhere from like 900 to 1100 a side. That math works, right? If you buy it right, that math works. On 900K, I mean, it seems like you'd have to rent it for 5,000 a side, right? To even come close to making it work. And if you lived in one side, maybe that works. It helps offset the cost that you would normally spend $1 million on a single family house. I don't know. For example, 50-year loan, 1% interest from Treasury, no penalty on early payoff. I see you got your virtual reality. Is that what you're in right now, telling us that's going to happen? I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them to supplement the interest rate, buy down the interest rate. Remember, this is the major difference. What you're pointing to is exactly the major difference between the 2008 market and the market now. People talk about mortgage defaults, consumer pain, student loans, foreclosures, defaults. What they always ignore or just don't know is that 85% of all the loans right now out there for residential are backed by the US government. So taxpayers are already on the hook for the bailout. Make no mistake. You and I are on the hook already for the bailout. We've already got in line. Like we're with our hands up going, we'll bail you out. I mean, they're not waiting for things to crash to bail people out. They'll be like, well, it's government debt. We'll just print more money. No big deal. They're doing quantitative, or they stopped quantitative ease, or I'm sorry, they stopped quantitative tightening and they're moving into quantitative easing, but they're rolling off mortgage-backed securities off the balance sheet of maybe to set up the fact that they're going to have to add them to the balance sheet at some point. They'll buy loans, they'll buy properties, they'll buy interest rates down 1%, you say. That would be something else. The market would go insane. People would be paying like insane prices for houses. I mean, it would just go straight up. And it would feel good, you know, for an hour or a year, however you want to look at it. But then all the pain would just be much worse. Much worse. You guys have good ideas this morning. They need to make the banks spread out the interest on your payments. Then maybe revisit the interest rate every 10 years. Huh. So instead of front loading the interest, you mean? More like a car loan? I think that's how a car loan works, right? Like they just, you know, if you pay off your car early, you're not saving any interest. Sometimes, right? Isn't that how it works? I'm not a loan expert, but I believe that's how it works. No, here's a fun fact. 1982 401k loan law was 50K. What is it in 2025? 50K? Not sure if anyone cares. Fun fact. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Right. So you pay more on the principal in the beginning. Not an awful idea. Not an awful idea at all. I mean, remember, again, 85% of these mortgages are controlled by the government or backed by the government. So because of that, they can do anything they want, right? I mean, they just removed the credit score requirement. They just removed it on the government-sponsored enterprise loans. They were just like, we don't need these anymore. They have their own algorithm or way to approve people on various factors that they can just pull levers, right? They could just behind the scenes pull different levers. So they could do anything they want. And I guess that's the disappointing part, right? I'm sure let me know. Are you disappointed in that? Because I am. I'm disappointed in that they didn't come up with something more unique to talk about. Of course, we're talking about it, but it's not headline grabbing. Like Can you imagine the headline from wherever this morning? Hey, the government has came up with a great new loan program. Is it going to save me money every month? No, but it's going to help you pay your principal off early. Boring. Boring. I want something that gives me free money or lower payments. That's why they come up with those ideas, I guess, that are goofy. But you'd think they had people in lab coats somewhere in the White House or in the Pentagon, like coming up with these ideas that only the smartest people of the smart can come up with. That's what, when I was a kid, that's what I thought people. Now I'm like, oh, they're way above me as far as intelligence goes. Then they come out with a 50-year mortgage tweet, and you're like, oh, jeez, wow. Even my kid knows that's probably not a good idea. Nikki B, market will correct itself. Affordability will return to mean like it always does. It could, and it could just be a long time in areas like New Jersey, Ohio. Even I'm even seeing areas in Florida where prices are rising still. Believe it or not, it's true. It could just be that people more the incomes have to catch up eventually, right? Incomes have to catch up to home prices. And if home prices go sideways for a long time, they could catch up. They could. So that's a way it could correct itself. I don't think a lot of people are admitting to themselves or thinking about or talking about is that it's not, the correction doesn't have to necessarily be prices. It could just be government interference. Of course, that'll just wreck affordability in the future. I'd gladly pay 18% interest if that means a massive reduction in home price. Sometimes it makes more sense to pay a higher interest rate. My first CNG home, I don't know what that means, Canadian. I'm not sure what that means. Was 1,000 square feet, 3-1 on a huge 100 by 100 lot. Today, home gone, and they put up a 3,000 square foot, $900,000 mansion. Yeah. I mean, it really is, right? It's really what has occurred is that Americans enjoy luxurious lifestyles. They want to go to Disney, even when they can't afford it. They want to buy the $100,000 truck, even when they can't afford it. And the desire for more luxuries has made houses larger and larger and larger. However, that money was created for them, it was created by selling real estate, stocks, whatever. Doesn't matter what they're doing. Great jobs, who knows? But at the end of the day, people were like, these small little homes, like, I don't like this. I want a much bigger home. And the cities were like, we're not going to build those here. Like, where are we going to build these big homes? No, we'll go out in the suburbs. And now that's what we got, folks. Big homes. So you tell me if we need more supply or not. It drives me nuts when people say we don't need more supply. Because I'm like, well, yeah, but all the people that we're talking to can't afford a home and they can't find one. So if there was truly an abundance of supply, you all wouldn't be telling me this. You'd be like, man, I got it. Oh, there's another one over there. And here's another one here. Oh, and there's one back here. That's not what the case. And it doesn't matter that they're vacant or that the boomers own them or that the investors own them. They're not for sale. They're not available. So unless you want to live in the VR world, that's what you're dealing with. It is what it is, right? You just got to navigate around it. You got to figure out a way to make it happen anyway. That's what I think. Homes are too big. Vacant home narrative is just saying that if we have distress, high unemployment, stock market crash, then those vacant homes will become available. Who knows if true? Understood, Nikki, but we all just admitted to ourselves, I think, that homes are huge. So those homes that are in the suburbs or in the new housing developments, if all those are vacant, I don't think a lot of the smaller homes are vacant. There's a lot of the bigger, nicer homes, right, sit vacant a lot of times. And a lot of them are condemned. They don't talk about that either. Or they need $100,000 in work. Or there's no one living there. They're like broken windows and stuff, run down, need a complete rehab. You take all those out, I don't think the 15 million number sounds so good. In fact, it's not even 15 million homes. I can't believe I said this. It's 15 million units, That's what they never tell us. It's 15 million units, not homes. A unit could be an apartment unit in a building, not a single family house. You got to go to the Census Bureau and look at the data. It saddens me that they won't come out and just tell you it's 15 million vacant units, not homes. So when you really boil it down, is it 15 million single family homes that anybody can afford once they're vacant? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. You may be able to buy direct from a person who has been deported. I don't know. That'd be a crazy transaction, right? How to get value out when a crime network surrounds the house that rigged their properties with house outlets, hidden grafted spraying color benzene spray, lean those spraying or run let profit slide. Wow, I'm not sure about that one, man. I don't know there. Aaron G, how are you? Hello from Morris County, New Jersey. Oh, okay, New Jersey. I must say, people are becoming more and more picky with buying now. Homes are sitting longer and having price reductions, but even with those reductions, they're still overpriced. Yeah, I'm sure you're seeing price reductions and people like, I'm not going to pay that price. But there, I don't see a flood of inventory there unless you're telling me wrong. Like lots and lots of homes on the market and prices are coming down. It doesn't sound like they are. But thanks for the check-in. Yeah, I don't live in New Jersey, so I'm just looking at at data. Yes, West Palm Beach prices holding or going up. Yeah, I just ran the St. Augustine, Florida. I just talked to somebody or somebody was on my live last week and they wanted me to look at a zip code in St. Augustine, Florida. And I couldn't believe it. It was like hadn't crashed at all. It's way up. So it's very hyper local. Thanks, Alex. Joe Mama, I got to get off here in a second. I'm going too long. I'm retired and I can live anywhere. Is there a particular area you would move today that you believe is a perfect city given the financial time we're in today? Oh, man. I'm sorry, Joe. I can't answer that for you. I mean, there are affordable housing markets or more affordable housing markets, but there's always a trade-off for it, right? It doesn't, it depends I guess it depends what you're looking for. Personally, look, this is just me. I'm not going to tell you an area, but I would tell you that if I flash forward 10 years, 15, 20 years in my brain, where am I going to be? I may be renting. Because I'm not going to sell the house I'm in now. I'll keep that and rent it, but rent it out to somebody. But I may rent a house somewhere or rent an apartment just because I don't want to monkey with the upkeep. So I like the idea of being able to move around, try different areas of the U.S. Maybe. I don't know. That's just a harebrained idea, but hard for me to answer. You got your own. I'm not sure I'm the right person to give you that advice. I mean, you can look at real estate data to show you where the most affordable rent is, where the most affordable homes are. But sometimes the areas that are outside the metros are more expensive, right? Or outside the popular areas are more expensive. Just depends on what you're looking for. Sorry. I mean, I know a couple that they're traveling around in their RV and they have like a fifth wheel type thing and they're having the time of their life. Is it for everybody? No, but that's what they're doing. And I think they're kind of deciding where they want to be. So I'd say visit a lot of places and talk to locals and don't get sucked up into the headlines. No crash. Yeah, right now, I wouldn't say most areas are crashing. There's a few areas down, right? Not just a few. Shoot, this morning we looked at 298 of the top 900 metros. I tracked 900 metros. I tracked 3,000 counties. I'm not cherry picking. 298 of the top 900 are down year over year. Metros, 298. 43 of the top 50 metros are down. 43 of the top 50 metros are down month over month. 25 of the top 50 are down. 24 of the top 50 are down year over year. So the percentage of the top 50 metros that are falling, that's growing year over year. That's growing. You can see that. And home prices fell 0.3% month on month. Now, usually right now they're growing or they're flat, is what Zillow says historically. So we're down. The trend is definitely softer overall. I think you're going to continue to see just kind of, you know, grinding sideways, maybe a little bit down. But we got a decade of appreciation in 2 years. Most markets, it was literally 2 years we got a decade of appreciation, not 5 years. Just a couple years. Crazy. But right now, no crash. And really, what's a crash, right? There were areas during 2008, the great financial crisis, the big housing crash, where they went up. Prices went up. Some areas never had a price crash. So the idea that there's a nationwide price crash, I haven't seen it. At least not the data I've looked back historically and looked at. Largest foreclosure group is now FHA loans. You can buy those foreclosed homes for a decent price direct from FHA. That's true, you can. And there are resources. If you Google FHA foreclosures, something like that, you could probably find a whole list of websites where you can go. And a lot of times they're owner occupant only. So investors can't even bid on them. The problem with FHA is it's only 15% of the mortgage market. So you've got 10% of the mortgage market. I'm sorry, you've got 15% of the mortgage market is FHA. 10% of those 15% are delinquent on their mortgages. And they're all backed by the US government. So the banks win, you and I bail them out. Any money printing, any extending and pretending of residential real estate, just know that you've already stepped in line to bail them out. You've already put your hand up and said, I'll bail them out, no problem, I got you. You just didn't know it. Remember that whole bank problem back in the day where banks went insolvent because of residential real estate? Then the government stepped in and said, we're going to take Fannie and Freddie and, bring them into our realm here and protect them. Now they're already protected, so they'll just, we just print and go. They got us in line, ready to roll. What's up, Jason? We find ourselves stuck. House is too big and mortgage rates super low. Yeah. With grown kids, we just want a rancher. There's a lot of people like this. You are I can see that happening where I currently live, Jason, in Granville. I can see that happening. I can see us, once my kid's out of school, right, and does his thing, I can see that happening. Because I'm like, I don't really need this. Like 2 acres to take care of. It's fun sometimes, but sometimes not. So you're in the situation I think most Americans are in, most Americans who own existing real estate and are getting older are like, hey, I want a smaller home. And sometimes that smaller home costs more. Yep. That's why I mean, personally, that's why I'm thinking renting. If things don't change, I mean, they probably will in 15 years, but thinking I may rent my next place because I'm like, I don't want to take on a higher mortgage rate and pay more for a home. Homes will probably be, who knows how much by then. They could be an insane price. The traveling Urquidez. Did I say that right? We left Spain last year. Life outside the US is unbelievable. Like you turned off a water hose of information that just comes nonstop in the US. Get out if you can. Okay, great advice, I guess. I don't know. Interesting advice, though. I appreciate your perspective. Yeah, I understand the information overload. I'm part of that, I guess. I'm part of the problem. Yeah, a lot of vacant condos in New York. Maybe. Yeah, but they're vacant. So what, right? Like, until they're on the market for sale, how does that help anybody? We've always had vacant homes also. I'm sure you know this, Nikki B. But we've had like we went down to like 10 million at one point, vacant homes, vacant units, not vacant homes, sorry, but vacant units. During the GFC, we had like nearly 20 million vacant units. Now we've got like 15 million. But if you look at the Fred chart that everybody cites when they talk about vacant homes, even though it's vacant units, you can see that we've always had a lot of millions of vacant units, millions. Even when the home prices were crashing, still have a lot, millions and millions and millions. So I don't know. I don't put much stock into it because I'm like, well, they're not for sale. What does it matter? Yeah, it's bad. Southern California, lots have been recruited into spraying each other. They all have new cars and trucks too. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Go to Mexico, Joe. Oh, there you go. All right. Well, somebody who travels around the world has some advice for Joe Mama, when regarding where they want to live. Yeah, nothing wrong with looking international, obviously. Shoot, I don't know anything. I'm just a dude in Ohio. No flood of inventory, but homes just sitting. 3 homes in my town dropped the same day, two for 50,000 and one for 75,000. They're still sitting. People are not buying. Yeah, and if you continue to see that, prices will start to come down. If you continue to see more and more people not buying and homes sitting, but you need what you said at the beginning, a flood of inventory. You need a lot more inventory quicker, right? And we're only up like 6% year over year in the nation in inventory. I think in New Jersey, there are area zip codes in New Jersey I saw where you're 75% under pre-pandemic levels of inventory. Those are the real data points, folks, not a narrative. Like 75% fewer homes than pre-COVID. And I'm guessing there's nowhere to build. And if there are new builds, they got to be insanely expensive. They're not going to build 1,000 square foot home there. I wouldn't think. New house, probably not. West Palm Beach is down, especially in Wellington, down 8% year over year. Yep, all about locality. Interest rates in Spain are 2% max. Huh, pretty cool. Nikki B, Austin, Oakland, San Fran, New Orleans, Cape Coral, Punta Gorda all have crashed. We'll see if it spreads. Yeah, I'm glad you know your data. I'm glad. Where are the worst markets right now? What did we say? Year over year, I got Austin, Tampa, Miami, Orlando, and Dallas. But there's a lot more that are falling, obviously. Thanks, Nikki. Good job paying attention to the data. I like that. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, I think I saw that article or something about condos in New York. Yeah, there's probably a lot that are vacant. I don't doubt that. Like there are people, this is probably not something most people want to hear, but it's true. And I think you all know it. You guys seem pretty realistic this morning. Like there are people at the top of the K, it's really an I now, right? An I with a dot, that have money that they need to do something with. I mean, when I talk to landlords who want to sell their properties and I'm like negotiating with them, one of the biggest hangups they have is what to do with the money. That's one of the reasons why they're not selling. They're like, I don't know what to do with the money. I don't want to pay capital gain tax. It's a second home, it's a rental property. I don't want to pay capital gain. So what do I do with the money? I got to roll it into a 1031 exchange to kick the can down the road on capital gain. So what am I going to do? So they hang on to it. That's one of the reasons why they're hesitant of selling. They don't know what to do with the money. Sounds crazy, but that's the truth. A lot of people are like, "What do you mean, spend it?" It's like, well, that's not how they got rich, but you got to do something with the cash, and a lot of times capital gain will destroy you. That's probably a hidden reason why a lot of people aren't selling their second homes and their vacant properties. They don't want to pay the capital gain tax. That's why you should go to them and offer seller financing, because it spreads out that capital gain pain. It can. I'm not an accountant, but it can. Just an option. But seller financing is powerful, and it can alleviate people from that. I complain to county EPA, AG commissioners. You need a clean claim lawyer to fight them. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Sorry. Richard, and then I'm going to end probably. Unless we have another COVID or 2008 style economy crash, we will never see 3% interest rates again. Stop dreaming, people. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in life where you don't think it'll happen. And I'm not saying what'll happen, but I can't say never. And you're right. I think you're right. Unless there's a COVID or 2008 style economic crash. I had Mike Zuber from One Rental at a Time on my channel, and he said the government has figured this out to their detriment. Hey, things get bad, print, print, print. and extend and pretend, and lower interest rates. So you're probably right, Richard. This article says they're losing money on sales. They could be if they're losing money when they sell a condo. That's what you're talking about still, a vacant condo in New York. If they lose money, depending on what they're doing financially, it could help them. If they had to sell for less than they paid for it, it could be it certainly it help them in taxes anyway. It could. Get rid of 1031 and cap gains could free up inventory. Yeah, it could. They're never going to get rid of that 1031. Well, I can never say never. I just said that. You can't say never. But all those folks upstairs, they all own real estate. They all use 1031s. All of them. Guaranteed they do. It's the biggest loophole in real estate that exists, maybe. Maybe the biggest one. I mean, you can literally extend that capital gain tax forever. You can keep buying properties over and over again, never pay that capital gains in your lifetime. And then when you die, your basis resets and your heirs, your kids, whoever you leave it to, that capital gain is gone. I'm not an accountant, but that's one of the things that happens in real estate. My NYC younger family members are not in a panic like you read. No free buses, no free rent, no pass, go collect $200. That was a great day. That was a great feeling in Monopoly, right? Pass $200. Yeah. Yeah. How's all that working? Like free rent. From where? From any, just rent. Okay. Free homes. Free homes? Where? What? Who owns those homes? I don't know. Just free. Okay. Somebody has to maintain them. People hate on landlords. Somebody has to own the rentals. There are people that don't want to buy, that have to rent. They're like, I want to rent. I don't want to buy a home. Somebody has to own those rentals. Who should own them? People complain about investors and large landlords. It's like, I'm not saying large landlords are good for the economy or I like them necessarily, but somebody has to own the rentals. They can't be like, the house can't be created unowned and like, a squirrel owns it. And then people are like, my roof is leaking. And the squirrel's like, I don't know, fix it. Somebody has to own all that stuff. Free, there's always a price, right? There's no solutions. There's just trade-offs. Oh, Nikki B. The dollar is not getting weaker. Dixie is around 100. European housing is way unaffordable than U.S. housing. Yeah. But according to the Traveler, we should go to Mexico. 2% interest rates. I'm going to check that out. All right. On that note, thanks. I can hang out with you guys all morning. You give me a lot of ideas, a lot of education. Look for more of these morning live streams. I'm going to do another one on Wednesday, I believe. And make it a great day. I'm the Housing Nerd. I am out.